What's up YouTube? I need to start with an apology. I put a video up this weekend about how to quickly check and adjust your chain tension on your KTM, and I said that the chain slack, or the slack in your chain tension, should be 50 mil, and it shouldn't. It should be 55 to 58 millimeters. So I couldn't leave the video up there. What I've decided to do ASAP is reshoot a video, same concept, same thing, and just show you again how you can quickly check your chain tension and adjust it without any messing about. So stay with me. The video is only going to be about 3 or 4 minutes long, start to finish, and you'll know how to quickly adjust your chain and get it right every time. So follow me. Okay, and what we're looking at is this tension here. Now obviously at the moment, chain, there we go, super slack, right? What we need is the distance between the swing arm, not the guard on it, but the swing arm itself here, and the underside of the chain. We need that to be 55 to 58 mil. How do we do that, Mark, without messing about with a tape measure over and over again? Well, let me show you. What I've done, last time I used a bottle top, but I couldn't find a bottle top without going through every bottle top in my house the right depth. So what I've actually done is just cut myself a little block of wood, and what I basically did is measured from the swing arm to the top of this wood, so that the overall height, when I sit this on my chain guard, the overall height will be 55 mil. Let me show you what I mean. So what I'm going to do is take this bit of wood, lift my chain up, and I sit that, hold on, sit it, buggering about, on top of my chain guide, sit my chain on top of it, which actually the chain is touching the chain guide, right? But what this does is, from the steel arm to the top of my chain, that's 56 mil. Now if I've got that set right, there shouldn't be any slack in the rest of the chain. It should be pulled pretty tight, but what you see, I've got all this slack here and all this slack down the bottom here, right? So if I've got my 56 mil or 55 to 58 mil taken up here, I shouldn't have any remaining slack down here. So what the plan is now is to leave that in place, because that's the tension I really want, and then using my chain adjusters here, I'm going to loosen the lock nuts, back the chain adjusters out on both sides, equal amounts on both sides. So if I do half a turn on this side, I do half a turn on the other side, and I'm going to move the back wheel backwards so that I take all of this slack out the system. And what that will mean is, when I remove this wooden block at the end, there's the 55 mil of slack put back into the system. Hope that makes sense. I'll show you how quick that is. So basically, where the flat edge is on the top of this nut, I'm just moving it round one flat edge at a time. I've done 3 on both sides. Let's go around here and just have a look at my chain tension. Pretty much almost there already, you see, almost all the slack's gone. So I'll just give it maybe one more. I think, yeah, pretty much there now. Right, that's still got a tiny bit of movement in it, but not much. So now what I'm going to do is tighten my lock nuts up, just to secure that position where the wheel is. Do that on both sides, and then holding my chain adjuster in position, actually tension that lock nut up so it does what it says on the tin, i.e. it's a lock nut. So hold that in place and just tighten this one up so they kind of push against each other and it locks that in place. And then one last thing I like to do, I'm just going to pop this door open. One last thing I like to do is find an old rag. Just take an old rag, or I've got an old sock here, jam it in here and actually turn the wheel so that it's really pulling the wheel tight now against these chain adjusters. And that's the point where I can now tighten up my wheel nut while that's being pulled against my tight chain. So got my socket. I've actually got a torque wrench. Pop that on there. The reason I've got a torque wrench is I see absolutely loads of YouTube videos where people finish their bike and they just hand tighten everything and they say, I'll torque all that up afterwards. And I don't, you know, sometimes I think, are they torquing it up afterwards? Because it gives me the impression that they're just not going to bother and they're just kind of saying it because they know they should. But look, the axle nut's meant to be 80 Newton meters on my bike. I've got a torque wrench, I've set it to 80 Newton meters. So let's do what we say we're going to do. Stick the torque wrench on the nut. We'll tighten it up. It's quite tight, it's tighter than you think, 80 Newton meters. You try and do that with a little short wrench. You have to give a real pull on it. A nice long wrench like this and it's quite easy. You just wait until you hear the click. I always like to do 2 and that's it. Okay, so I'll bring you back to this side. So we're back at the bike. My chain guide's here. I want to pull my sock out, that can go. Take my chain guide, I can pop it out of the way. And now I'm left with the 56 to 58 that it says in the manual. 55 to 58 that it says in the manual. Not only that, but now every, don't know, maybe every 3 or 4 rides, I can just take my bit of wood, come down to my bike, I can poke it back in place and see if my chain's still nice and tight against that. If I've got lots and lots of play, then I know my chain's gone loose and I know to readjust it. So you see how long that took to do the whole thing, start to finish, just a few minutes. See how long it takes to check it, literally seconds. Yeah, that's my tip. Sorry I had to remake the video, but I couldn't leave one up there telling everyone it should be 50 mil when someone pointed out to me actually Mark it's 55. So I thought I'd quickly remake the video this evening. So there you go. Hope it's useful to you. Ride safe and I'll see you next time.